Hello and welcome to Coffee with Carrie. It's the show where I interview the people that help make Bloomfield Township a great place to live, work, and play. And today I have with me Joe Syracuse. Welcome to Coffee with Carrie.
Thank you. I feel like I've made it to big places now.
Yeah, well, after 26 years, I think that, this is the least that we can do is talk a little bit about what your job is and how you've been serving the township for that many years. You've seen a lot, I'm sure, in your time.
Yeah, I've been around the block a few times here.
Mm-hmm. And so congratulations on your promotion to Fire Marshal.
Thank you.
And so what does that mean exactly? What is that? You're in a daytime job instead of the 24-hour, right?
Yes, I did 4 hours my first 19 and a half years or so on the department. And then I moved over to fire prevention as a fire inspector, which is one of our tested positions. And that's when I went to days. We're on the typical day schedule here that the rest of the township's on.
Yeah.
And our division is 2 fire inspectors and a fire marshal oversees them.
Okay. And so the fire marshal probably means more paperwork.
A lot more office time.
More office time. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Is there another fun part to the new job?
I mean, it's interesting. It's a lot of still the same stuff. I'm having to oversee what the new inspectors are doing now. Yeah. So I'm actually back out in the field teaching them how to do inspections of businesses. But I'm mostly dealing with renovations and new construction now where they're, doing typically annual inspections on business, going through and making sure things are, not dangerous to the public or the workers there.
Right. Is Oakland Hills, are they ready for their inspection, or you've been inspecting as it moves along?
Anytime they do new stages, we go through, and it's coming along really good. In fact, they told me, we were just in there last week, they're talking about wanting to be open for business next February of 26.
Yeah. Well, and this time they're going to be totally ready in case there's any issues.
It's going to be really nice.
Yeah.
They're doing a good job with it.
Talk to me about what is a typical inspection and how long does that take for a regular restaurant business when they're opening?
It's going to depend on the size, really. And, typically, my goal, I've let the 2 inspectors know that have come on. Our goal is to get through at least every business occupancy in the township once a year, for an annual inspection to make sure things are, kept up to current code.
Do they know you're coming when you show up?
It really depends.
Okay.
Like the big office buildings will make appointments with the property manager or the owner, or sometimes they just have us meet with the maintenance guy to go around and take notes with us.
Yeah.
Because you go through a big building, you find a lot wrong, and they can take notes, and it's easier for them to be there, and a lot of stuff can get fixed as we go through.
Yeah. I guess it would be partly like an aging building. Is that what causes issues? Or if it was good this year, what could happen in that year in between that makes the difference when you're inspecting something?
Storage issues, maintenance issues, not keeping up with things like your fire alarm systems, your sprinkler systems. Restaurants have to have their hood systems tested biannually. Things like that. But the storage issues are a big one. Other things we look for in office space settings, heaters, space heaters are a big problem. Just a public service announcement. Yeah. Those need to be plugged directly into the receptacle in the wall. You do not want to use a space heater with any kind of extension cord, and especially not a power strip.
Especially not a power strip. Okay, I'm guilty. Yes, I've done that. So why don't you want to do that?
Well, the power strips are meant to prevent static or shock going to that appliance. They're not really, a space heater draws a lot of power, and that resistance that you're getting through that power surge protector creates a lot of heat and can actually cause a fire. But you're not really supposed to use those with any kind of extension cord.
All right, noted. What else? What else is there that I'm doing wrong? I'm sure.
Yeah, we haven't got through and done the inspection on this building yet this year. We'll find your space heater.
Yes. Well, you know what? Our space heaters are generally plugged into the wall here. I'm thinking more of at home. And then the other thing, are you seeing more with I think with the batteries? Is that part of the inspection now?
Yeah, we do see a lot with batteries. More on the residential side. We've actually gotten a lot of our fires recently in the last few years have been caused by lithium batteries. And that's usually caused by somebody buying a knockoff replacement. Like these e-scooters, for instance.
Oh, okay.
The batteries go bad, and the manufacturer one may be 3 times as much as that one they get on Amazon that seems cheaper.
Right.
And in your mind, I'm saving money, but in all actuality, it's not really meant for that. And, they don't have the same UL ratings and everything that the manufacturer recommends and can cause some fires. That's usually the typical thing with the batteries. And we recommend if you're not home, unplug your batteries. Don't leave them charging when you're gone.
Yeah. I know that cell phones were a problem in the past. Is that still a problem, like to leave it plugged in?
Yeah, I mean, I know I cringe myself. We have, older teenage kids, and we'll see them sleeping in bed with their cell phone in their bed with them, and it drives me nuts.
Right.
But you can feel those things when they're
Heat up.
charging. They get really hot.
Yeah.
But yeah, cell phones aren't the issue that they used to be as much. But the thing with those batteries is as soon as they start taking damage, being dropped and things like that, the integrity of that battery can break down.
Right.
It's called thermal runaway. I don't know the exact science behind it, but that's the science it's called. And it causes a pretty violent fire. And if you watch any YouTube videos of some of these lithium batteries burning, it's terrifying.
Right. I think that's a whole another show or like safety video series that we probably need to do related to lithium batteries themselves, because people also throw them away into a dumpster, or they just they're supposed to recycle them. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And do we do that here in the township?
On our hazardous materials pickup day, they will take them.
Right.
It's the only time of the year.
Which I think is coming up. Isn't it in May?
It's usually in the fall.
It's in the fall. There's a hazardous.
Well, they may do too. I'd have to look at the website.
Okay, we're going to check on that. We'll check on that.
I live in Commerce, so I don't pay attention to ours.
Right. Yes. Well, I know. We'll let our residents know.
I know there is one in the fall. There probably is 2 now that I think about it. I think there is one in the spring too.
Yeah, and I think it's coming up in May, so I should have checked it. But in any case, we will, and then we'll put it up on the screen. So. We were also talking a little bit about residential inspections. So is that something that people request, or is it for construction? Where does it happen?
They're home safety checks, we call them. They can call and schedule them through us. You can just call the main fire department number, and they'll transfer it down to one of the inspectors.
Okay.
They'll call. It's by appointment. They come in, they'll check, make sure your fire detectors are up to date. You have, carbon monoxide detectors. To this day, we come through houses all the time that don't have working smoke detectors and carbon monoxide detectors.
Like the basics. That's basic.
I mean, and smoke detectors are only good for about 10 years before they need to be replaced. And carbon monoxide detectors, they're, I think, 7 or 8. So
okay.
Once they need to be replaced pretty frequently. And then the good thing is, too, is if we discover you need smoke detectors, we do have a grant going on through the state where we're actually giving out free smoke detectors, and we'll come install them for you for township residents.
Right. Okay.
And I don't, it's a statewide program, but we only install them for our residents.
Sure.
It all depends on what jurisdictions are participating in it. So, if somebody sees us in another jurisdiction, they might be like, well, why isn't mine doing this? And it's just whether or not they
applied for it and were able to do it. So,
but other things we look for in the residential inspections, we're looking for cord issues. You see a lot of people using those, we call them Christmas tree cords. It's the old style 2-prong extension cords. We don't recommend those at all. Use a grounded plug, which means it has the 3 prongs on it.
Right.
And make sure you're not, like we call it piggybacking of extension cords. Make sure you're not doing that where you're combining multiple ones together.
So the 2-prong is just got phased out. Is that you don't see it really at all anymore?
You still see them, unfortunately, but they're not very safe.
Okay.
If I recommend that people just toss them, don't use them anymore.
So what's or even older lamps that have the 2-prong instead of 3-prong?
Well, it's different on those.
Okay.
You can't change that, but I'm talking if we're using extension cords.
All right. Just get rid of it.
I just get
recycle it. Okay. All right.
Because the way electricity works, the longer that cord's going, the more resistance that builds up, and resistance causes heat.
Yeah.
I'm not an electrician. I hope I don't sound like an idiot to someone that really is. And starts.
Well, you've told me more than I know, and that I've been thinking about it. And
I
it's,
just know there's a reason. There's
Right.
a code behind it for a reason.
Sure.
It's obviously started a fire and someone's gotten hurt over it, but you don't want to be stringing multiple extension cords or combination with power
Yeah.
strips together. Other things we're looking for mainly, your storage issues, making sure you're not storing stuff around your furnace, hot water heater. I know in commercial businesses we can enforce that. Homes we can only recommend. But
Right.
we in commercial we maintain a minimum clearance of 30 inches around that kind of stuff.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. Yeah, I was just meeting with someone from DTE recently, so it's interesting that we're talking about electricity. It's something we really take for granted, I think, because it's just so easy, and because everyone's been living with it for so long that you just don't really think about it. And I'll tell you, my science class was like a long time ago, so to remember the basics sometimes it's just a good reminder for everybody. So.
Yeah, and a lot of our fires are caused from electrical. It really is. It's one of the more common ones.
Right. I'm sure. So related to generator use and loss of fires, I mean, we have a lot of people that go to switch to a generator when they lose power in the township. So what are some of your tips related to generator use?
Make sure they're run outside, and there's no draft coming into the house. Have working carbon monoxide detectors in the house where that interior where that generator is, because we get a lot of CO. Every time we get a long power outage, we get a lot of CO calls from people having their generator running, maybe in the garage, and it doesn't take much, to open that door. And if it's built up in there, it's going to come in, or it can leak under the door. Make sure that window's not open on the house where that generator is, because it can get blown into the house. But having the CO detector is huge. That's something that everybody should have. And per code, you should have one per floor.
Let's just give some tips related to the community in general, as far as how they can drive. Where are they supposed to drive when an engine comes by? What are they supposed to do?
Well, this is great. I hope this gets out to a lot of people.
Okay.
You are supposed to pull over to the right side.
Yes. Okay.
And I've seen pretty much everything out there.
And I'm not saying I'm asking this because my husband and I have argued about it. However, you're supposed to pull to the right side. You're not supposed to stop in the middle or to the left, right?
No.
Or what are the parameters?
I've seen some exceptions, and I've been even part of them when I've been out driving.
Yes.
If it's rush hour and you can't get over to the right, I've pulled up on the curb to the left so I could get out.
Just get out of the way.
Just get out of the way the best you can if you can't get to the right.
Yeah.
Because then what some people do, I can't get to the right, so I'm just going to sit here, and then the truck's just sitting behind them in a stalemate. So,
right.
Whatever effort you can do, if you can't get to the right, to make room for them is good. Thing is they're just they have somewhere to get to.
Right.
The easier you make it for them, the easier it is for them as well, and it's going to help that person they're trying to get to.
Sure. So what would be another key tip that you would want to offer our community? You know what I always like when we do at the open house, when you guys do the fire demonstration, that always draws a huge crowd, and the kitchen demonstration on how to put out a fire.
Okay. Yeah, we recommend always having an ABC extinguisher, in your kitchen. If you're going to cook, especially with grease, have a lid available. And there are some products out there. I get people ask me a lot about fire blankets. Me personally, I'm not a huge fan. They work, but my feeling is right before the open house, I wanted to try some of these things out. I went to Lowe's and bought everything they had, like the fire blankets, the foam spray. I tried extinguishers. The fire blanket, I about burned my eyebrows off with. I put it over and it just flashed, and I'm thinking, if I wasn't in my turnout gear, I might have set my clothes on fire. I thought it was dangerous. Maybe I was misusing it. I don't know.
Well, I think if you can't use it, then probably people are just better to stay and use the lid.
I've been fighting fire now for 26 years, and I didn't feel safe using it. So I personally don't recommend the fire blankets. They sell a fire foam spray for grease fires. It's like $9 or $10 for the bottle at Lowe's. I tried that stuff. You can spray it from a distance. It works amazing.
Okay.
It made such much, not nearly as much of a mess as the extinguisher does.
Yeah.
And it put it out really quick. The only advice I have for people, if you're going to buy that, take the plastic part off first, because when I was testing it out behind our station, I was literally just making grease fires.
Yeah.
It took me like 30 seconds to just get that off, and that thing was really going.
Right. Okay.
So have it ready. Just take the plastic wrapper on the cap off, because it took me a little bit to get that off.
Well, next time you do these tests, we would like to come and videotape you, because I think that would be super fun.
We'll be doing it prepping for the open house.
Oh, okay. All
I'll
right.
see if there's any new products to try out, and we'll show you the fire blanket.
All right. Well, Joe, again, thanks for coming and joining us today and reminding us of all the tips and telling us about the work that you do in the township. We really appreciate you. So thanks for coming by.
Thank you for having me.
And we'll see you next time on Coffee with Carrie.